All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the trading group and the beginners trading class. We are talking today about intro to trend lines, formations, and levels. Thank you guys for coming and being ready to take notes and ready to participate and ask all the questions. And I know today's going to be a great class. But to start, I want to talk a little bit about myself because we have some new people in the room. And you guys may not know a lot about me, but I'd love to share a little bit so you can get to know me more. And I can be like your trading best friend, and we can get to know each other, and we can just laugh, and you guys can, grow in your trading journey in a comfortable manner. Okay, first things first, I've been a long-term trader of 8 years. That means I've had money in the stock market for 8 years. Started with, your typical 401k while you're working, something small. I did work in the stock market for 3 years of my life. I was also working in long-term investments. So I was working in the retirement sector and your IRA sector. So yes, 1 second, let me admit someone. Yes, and the other thing is I've been options trading full time for now. I need to update this. Is no longer 4 months. It is now 8 months. So you guys can see that last time we went over this beginner's course, it was a little bit about 4 months ago, but we are back at it since we have some new members here. And yes, so it's now 8 months. And when I started teaching these classes, I was 3 to 4 months in, which is absolutely insane to me. I don't know why you guys were listening to me when I'd only been trading for 3 or 4 months. That is so funny. But no, I spent a lot of time. I spent probably 12 hours a day or more learning the market for my first 6 months, and it really made a difference. So I love options trading, and it is one of the ways that I guess, feed myself full time. So yes, fun facts now. I'm a proud Bayesian. Bayesian is from Barbados. That is kind of like the slang term. That's like saying you're a Niger babe instead of saying you're Nigerian. Yeah, I'm Bayesian. I'm also, the proper terminology is Barbadian. Yes, that is where Rihanna is from. Yes, that is my cousin. No, I cannot call her for you. Okay, next. I can talk your ear off about fashion, travel, and faith. Those are probably the three things that I could literally yap all day about. I am 27. I will soon be 28. So you guys make sure you mark December 1st in your calendar. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, outside of trading, I spend time with my family. I have 7 nieces and nephews, and I love them dearly. I also love my siblings that gave me my nieces and nephews. I guess they're cool. Ride horses, play tennis, cook. Um, this definitely needs to be updated because even though I love to cook, I have been so busy with all of this stuff in life. I have not been in the kitchen the way that I typically would have preferred to be in the kitchen. So I feel like almost like I have not said the full truth there right now because I ain't been in the kitchen in a minute. Anyway, so play instruments and travel. Okay, so that is a little bit about me, but enough about things that aren't going to make you money. Let's get straight into our options trading beginners class. So today the objective is to identify and draw key support and resistance levels, trend lines, and chart formations to recognize potential trade setups. Okay. So here's the thing. We talked a little bit this morning. We had two classes today. We had a class this morning and a class this afternoon, which is going on right now, obviously. And this morning, we talked a lot about levels. So I will not touch too much about levels, but we'll go over it a little bit more in depth and touch on a few of the pieces of information we missed from this morning. But just to give you guys a quick rundown, levels are 3 areas on a chart where the candle ends up extending to. So the very top of the candle and the bottom of the candle. And typically that area of where the candle, the top of the candle or the bottom of the candle, there are a few candles that end at the same area. And don't worry, I know I'm verbally explaining it, but I will visually pull up an example for you all. So that is what a level is. There is the top of the candle, which is the resistance, and the bottom of the candle, which is support. So let's go over that right now. Support level is a price level where buying pressure tends to appear, stopping or slowing a downward move. Okay, we're in a beginner's class, so people are probably saying, what's going on with all of this terminology? Buying pressure, stopping a downward move, what's moving down? Okay. So when price is in the red, you guys will see red candles. Let me see if I have my picture here. I think I put the picture here. Yes, perfect. So you'll see when price is going up like this is price going upward. When price is dropping, like it did today, this is price going downward. So if we go back to the previous definition, it says a support level is a price level where buying pressure tends to appear, stopping or slowing the downward move. Okay. So what is buying pressure? That may be another word or phrase that is seemingly a little confusing. Buying pressure is exactly what it sounds. Pressure from buyers. Now, the more important question is, who is a buyer? What is a buyer? What is that? These green candles are indicating buyers. When you and me, traders, come into the market and we buy a stock, it increases the stock's value. The more people in the stock market buying a stock, the more that stock's value increases. Okay. So we call it buying pressure because you're getting pressure from all these buyers to push the stock up. Sounds all well and good. That's great for your long-term portfolio. You know, you go ahead and you purchase a stock and there's all this buying pressure. And next thing you know, you purchase this little stock at $15, but then it's at a $300. That would be a great, great scenario. And all of that buying pressure pushed the market up because all of these buyers were interested in coming in. I can give you a great example of when there's buying pressure. Let's say, let me think of something that is also not controversial but easily recognizable. What's a stock that we all know? Oh, Apple. Okay. Apple releases its brand spanking new iPhone. And there's a lot of excitement around this iPhone. This is going to be the first iPhone that's going to be able to fly to your friend, and your friend is going to be able to type in a message and it's going to fly back to you. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is the most, crazy, innovative thing I've ever heard. I'm so excited. I am so bullish on Apple. I want to buy Apple, right? So what is that going to do? That is going to have that news is going to have a lot of people entering the market, pressuring the market or the stock price to go up. And that is what we call buying pressure. So let's go back. So a price level where buying pressure tends to appear, stopping or slowing the downward move. So maybe that's starting to make a little bit more sense, right? Let's go back. So if this is the downward move, what is going to stop price from going down? Buying pressure. Applause. There we go. Yeah, very easy now to understand. Breaking it down one step at a time. So if price is on its way down, the only thing that can change the downward trajectory and downward trend of this stock is for buyers to enter in with more strength and more volume than the people who are selling their stock. Okay. When you think about trading as a beginner, I need you guys to recognize that everything that anyone explains to you, whether it be me or you go on YouTube or any other person that you're listening to, right? Whenever they're talking about their market, it is a legitimate and realistic scenario that you should be able to create an example in your head to explain what and why things are taking place. If you're analyzing what is being taught to you and you haven't actually identified how it works with retail traders, you and me, everyday people, then probably it's not going to stick in your head strong enough. This is like just a tip for my beginner traders, right? When someone is talking about something, don't just listen to it and write it down. Make sure you're asking yourself, well, who is she talking about? What is a buyer? What is a seller? How would a buyer act? What would a buyer be thinking? The more you can understand the behavior of buyers and sellers in the market, the better you'll be able to complete your full learning process and everything like that. All right. So that is buyers and sellers. Now, resistance level. Let's go over resistance level. Resistance is a price level where selling pressure shows up, slowing or reversing an upward move. So we're going to explain this, but we're going to explain it in the opposite direction. Okay. So let's go look at this chart again. So if we're having selling pressure, you can imagine that now instead of buyers coming in, we were using the Apple example, right? So we got a brand new iPhone that has wings and it can fly to your friend and it's so cool, so cool, so cool. There's buying pressure because people have heard about this and they're buying the stock. They think Apple to the moon, right? Now, couple people used the new flying phone feature and it got to the wrong person in the wrong hands. It wasn't your friend that picked it up. It was some random person. And now you've lost your phone and you're realizing this whole flying phone feature with Apple is not all that it's cracked up to be. I want to sell my stock. I no longer believe in Apple as a stock. Okay. So now we have selling pressure. I am not interested. Maybe there's something going on. It's some type of mistake. There's recalls. Something's going on with that Apple stock that's causing me to now sell. I'm not the only one, though. There are millions of people at once that are selling their stock and they are driving price down. That is how you get some selling pressure. So let's go back. Resistance is a price level where selling pressure shows up, slowing or reversing an upward move. So, as we we're explaining, going up, something happens, and now price has hit a ceiling, an area of resistance, and now it is turning around, and sellers have entered the market instead of buyers having control of the market. So, something happened down here that caused the buyers to have control of the market and then it hit a resistance level. Something caused resistance, which caused sellers to enter the market here. And sellers enter the market here. Buyers re-entered here, sellers entered here. Okay. And these are the types of movement and direction that we see in the market trends. We see upward trends, we see downward trends, and we also see sometimes, like right here, there's a perfect example of trends moving to the side. Okay. Sideways. We call this consolidation. Okay. All right. So now let's get into the actual resistance levels. Oh, one more thing. Again, if we're thinking about buyers being people that are purchasing stocks and driving the market up, sellers being people that are selling that stock and pushing that stock down, and you're thinking of their behavioral patterns, when you're thinking of buyers, when they get in at a support level or level to the lower part of the stock, on the bottom half of the stock, their thought is price is cheap here, I'll buy. Their stock is also, I'm bullish, or I think price is going to go up and it's cheap here, I'm going to buy. Or some news I think is going to come out and I think I can either hold it for a couple days, a couple weeks. It's a great time to buy. That is the bottom. So that's where you purchase. That is a support level. If you guys have ever heard buy low, sell high, same thing. Your support level is lower on the chart. You want to buy at your support level and you want to sell at your resistance level. So if I'm a seller, I'm thinking of entering and selling my stock. I'm thinking this is too expensive. This is not worth it. I've held it long enough. Maybe I've held it long enough to make a profit, or maybe when I purchased it, I thought it was going to go up and it already started going down. And I think I want to just sell it. That is when you think you've hit a ceiling of the stock and you're ready to sell that stock. Okay. How that looks and shows up in a chart. My pink lines are going to be resistance levels, and my blue lines are going to be support levels. I know I'm telling you resistance is up top and I'm telling you support is on bottom. So you're probably asking me, well, Jasmine, if these blue levels are support levels, then how come they're above the resistance levels? Well, great question. And I see someone ask a question. how do you determine a support level as a beginner? Let me see this full question. Zola said, how do you determine a support level as a beginner to the market? I'll be happy to explain that to you. Let's get into it. This is what we're getting into right now. First, I have to tell you how you mark your levels. I have these areas in the chart circled. And remember, I explained and I said I was going to show you what I'm saying verbally right now. So this is a candle. Hopefully everybody knows what a candle is. That is like beginner's class 101, and we're at like 103. So if you guys need me to go back to beginner's class 101, I'd be happy to do so. But let's talk about it. Beginners class 101. This is a candle. This candle is made of typically two aspects, a body, the thicker part, and that thin little line is called a wick. Think of it literally like the wick of a candle, right? So big part is the body, thinner part is a wick. This whole thing makes up a candle though. Body and wick make candle, okay? So this bottom part of this candle, this top part of this candle, wick, body, wick. That is the entirety of the candle, right? Do not just look at the body. Do not discriminate. Okay, we want to see the top, the bottom, all the curves. Do not discriminate. The full thing from top to bottom is what you need to be paying attention to when you're looking at these candles. Okay, so when you're looking to mark these levels, to find a level, you have to locate at least 3 areas of price in a specific stock that closes at the same price or level. Whoa, Jasmine, what you talking about? What you talking about, Liz? Well, let's look at it. We have some consolidation, meaning prices going sideways here. I want to zoom in. Oh, fantastic. Glory be, I can. All right. So let's zoom in. With all of these, this is candle, 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 candle. All of these are candles, right? So I am looking for an area of price where at least 3 candles come to an end at the same price level. And what do we have here? We have a 1 candle closes here, 2 candles close here, 3 candles. So that is our minimum, but we also have a 4th. Okay. Let's go up to here because I have here marked out too. We have a 1, the top of 1 candle, the top of a 2nd candle, and here we have the bottom of a 3rd candle, right? 1, 2, and 3. 3 is the minimum, and this is all being charted, by the way, on the 4-hour time frame of TradingView. So we're looking for, we call them touches, 3 touches, and as you can see here, price touched 1, 2. Actually, think I circled this one. I guess you can consider it 4. It's a little close to the line. It's not exactly on the line, but let's call it. But I really want to look at this candle right here. So 1, 2, and 3, right? 1, 2, 3. Touches of the same area in price. Touch this area, touch this area, touch this area. That is what we call marked on the 4-hour time frame a level. 1, 2, 3. Now, someone asked a really important question. So now you guys know, and I won't spend too much time on this so we can get into the other things. If you guys have more questions about levels and how to mark them, we can. But someone wanted to know, well, what's the difference between a support level and a resistance level? Fantastic question. If you remember 5 seconds ago, we were talking about how resistance takes place as a ceiling or a roof. It's what turns buyers around and is showing that sellers to the downside, prices moving to the downside, downtrend, sellers are taking control of the market. Okay. So price comes up, meets a ceiling, meets an area of resistance, So the last candle that touches at this price level, if it is touching towards the top, and this candle right here, this small itty bitty green candle is touching towards the top, touching this area of price towards the top of the candle. So it is this level is operating as a resistance. Resistance, think of ceiling. Support, think of floor. When you're thinking of a support system, right, you have your foundation. You have support, as in support in the word shoes. Support is also something that, again, holds you up, is something that is strong. Support is the bottom. Resistance, if you're thinking of resistance, is something that's pushing against you. You're pushing up or pushing forward. It is the top of the candle. So my pink lines are my resistance lines, top. Support, we have a resistance to this candle, but right here, ignore this circle. I didn't want to circle this one. I wanted to circle this. But right here on this red candle with this extra long big wick, we have a support. The candle tried to come down. This area of price said not so fast. And if we're going back to the behavioral concept, what does this mean? This candle came down, price ended up pushing it back up, and the body closed up here. What does this tell us? It tells us it has a long wick and a short body. That means that this is the area that price traveled within this 4-hour time frame, because each candle, depending on the time frame you have open, represents that amount, allotted amount of time. I told you guys we are on the 4-hour time frame. So each one of these candles represents 4 hours. Price came down, shot up. The body is where price opened at and closed at. This whole entire candle, the wicks, shows the entirety of where price traced. So chances are price went up, came back down, but in the end, it closed with a small body, meaning it pushed up with a lot of significance, okay? So price just touched this level and reversed. That's what it's saying. Sellers tried to, come in, show a little muscle, because buyers, if we look here, buyers were pushing the market up, an uptrend, buyers in control. Sellers say, I'm big and bad, I'm strong, but they're then met with this level. And I like to say levels operate as magnets. Price is always attracted to key levels, okay? The levels you're marking on the 4-hour time frame with 3 specific touches, those are areas that price is attracted to. So you're going to see price come back to this level, until it's able to do what we call a breakout and move towards the next level. And we have another level here. I want to show you guys. Have 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touches. The last touch at this price is on the bottom of the candle, and that's what makes it a support level. So the last candle that touches exactly this line, the level, is what will determine whether it is a support or resistance, the most recent touch, if that makes sense, okay? All right. Let's move on to formations and trend lines, okay? So formations and trend lines are some of the best ways for beginners to trade. Now, I like to give a percentage. Formations are typically, I would say 30 to 40% accurate. They are not always accurate. They are good for confluence. Confluence is one of many pieces of information that provides a confirmation of how the trade that you are looking to enter is going to go. So we have different shapes in the market that takes place. And I'm going to actually show you guys some of these shapes and formations in a second, but I want you to see what they look like. So we have something called a double top. That means price is coming up and it's making an M type of shape. Goes up, pulls back, goes up, pulls back. We have also a double bottom, a W shape. I do not know why they didn't call them M and W. Of all the mysteries of trading, the number one mystery of trading that I have in life is why they didn't just call it M and W. I have no clue, but double bottom. All right. Price goes down, price goes up. Why is this good to know if you're a beginner trader? Because if I know that price is forming a double bottom, I'm going to wait for price to go back up, come back down, and the second half of this bottom is where I want to take my entry, because I want to take a call, meaning I want to say that I'm purchasing the option for price to go up. and I'm expecting buyers to produce an uptrend, and that's going to make me a lot of money. Now we have one of my favorites. This is called a head and shoulders formation. So this is similar to the double top, but instead of it being two heads or kind of two levels, there's three. And these three levels are not even. So there is a lower level, there is something called a head, which is when price pulls back and goes back up, the head breaks above the previous shoulder. And then when it comes down, it creates a right shoulder. And this is what we called head and shoulders. There's a left, which is lower. The head brings these candlesticks and price up above the two shoulders, comes back down. And when price gets ready to come before the breakout, it does not rise above this middle formation aspect of this formation, which is called the head. This is also another fantastic. My two favorite and most consistent. I say when price forms head and shoulders, I'm going to change that 30% accuracy to like 60%. And when I see a flag pattern, I'm going to also keep it to 60%. Head and shoulders and bullish and bearish flags to me are some of the most accurate formations that we can see in the market, right? So if you have heard anything of a bull trend, I've mentioned it. I dropped that terminology a couple times so far this class. What a bull trend is meaning that where price is being pushed up an uptrend. So you like to think of bull, muy caliente, very hot, very strong, spicy. It's moving up. It's going hot. It's going up. When you're thinking bearish, you're thinking bear, you're thinking cold, you're thinking hibernation. Price is not too hot and price is dropping. It's hibernating. Hot is going up, hibernating and going down. Bullish means price is going out, down. So we see these lines. What do these lines mean? If you see these candles are large, 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 then they slowly start to get smaller, 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 smaller. And it almost looks like a triangle. Oops, or a flag. Let's look at this. This kind of looks like a flag. Had they made this line not slanted, I wish they would have slanted it up so we can actually see. But yes, this is what you call a flag. When price breaks out of this top line, typically it is a strong breakout, and this is where you enter on your trade. I'm going to show you guys a really great bullish flag pattern that took place on AMD recently. Okay. So here we have the bearish flag pattern. Same thing. Price is small, then it gets bigger, bigger, bigger. And then we see this breakout here. Okay. Now, this next slide are a variety of different types of trends and patterns. Feel free to take a screenshot of this. I will also drop this in our Discord chat so you guys can have this, but I'll give you a second just to take a photo of it before I start giving some examples of what all this stuff looks like. Okay, hopefully you guys have your screenshot prepared. Alrighty. And now I'm going to show you guys what a real life chart looks like. Okay, so here we have the example of a flag pattern. This is a beautiful flag pattern, boys and girls. Could not be any prettier. We see price go up here. Here is, what do you call this? The pole, the flag pole. Then we see price come down here. And we also see price come down here. I know what happened to my flagpole. What happened? But anyway, you guys are able to see, I'm going to move my flagpole over a little bit so you guys can see it better. But yes, you guys are able to see here how price shot up, and then you see big candle, and the candles start to get smaller. And I can shout out Shauna because she caught this. This is what you see, a flag. And price broke out of this flag pattern and moved, let's see, that was about, let's call it let's round it to 200, from $210 all the way up to $240. That is a 30-point move. Child, if you were in it from the bottom to the top, let me tell you something right now. Let me tell you, if you went from the bottom to the top of that and it was a 30-point move on AMD, you would not be on this call with me. You would be in Bora Bora somewhere, okay? You would be living lavish. That is a ginormous return, possibly like somewhere around a 3,000% return, maybe even more. So that's great. Options, the return on options contracts versus the return on long-term investing is different. I will say that. So you will get higher returns doing options, but there is also more risk. So don't have hard eyes just yet thinking, oh my gosh, better returns. Okay, let me look at Apple and see if Apple has any other formations that I can point out to you guys. Let's look at Apple. Another thing that's good to know, and this is all in the 4-hour time frame, as you guys can see. Something else that is good to know. Certain stocks have a tendency, or they have the characteristic to make patterns. So I'm not seeing a pattern that I like immediately on Apple, but let me go over. You guys can see that I have my trend lines marked. Let me go over to Google because Google typically does make a pattern that I like. So let's see what's going on with Google. I see one here already with Google. You guys probably aren't going to pay too much attention to it, but I will point it out because I want to practice, want you guys to practice catching these patterns in real life. So some of the examples that I just used, child, they looked very, very, very pretty. Sometimes you have to squint and ask yourself, is that what I think it is? Sorry, y'all, I'm trying to move this screen over. Give me 1 second. There we go. Okay. Sometimes you have to squint and ask yourself, is that who I think it is? Is that what I think it is? And here we go. What is this, ladies and gentlemen? This is a W or a double bottom. Something else that you see here, price is operating as resistance up here. So similar to how we talked about when when sellers enter the market after buyers have had control and they operate as resistors, or they create a level of resistance to allow sellers to take in control of the market and to enter the market. So here we have a downtrend that's coming down. Either this can be a pullback and then it can go on more, or price can continue down. But already we see this trend complete. Okay. So here's an example of a double bottom. All right. I want to see if you guys, hopefully I'm not missing any types of questions. Let me check to see if I'm missing any questions. Okay. Q&A, do we have any questions? Because those are levels, formations. We can also go over trend lines. Let me use this exact chart as well to go over trend lines real quick. So trend lines are when you can see the direction, the upward move and trajectory of a specific chart, and you can chart at least 3 touches. That's typically the rule. There's a 3-touch rule. Okay, let me give an example. Yeah, let me do it here. I'm sorry, y'all. I do not know why this thing is just acting. Okay. All right. Ooh, my computer is on the fritz. Okay. Do you guys see where I'm tracing? I'm just going to trace it here. A trend line is, okay, now the marker wants to work. At least 3 of the levels. We have 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch, 5 touch. So if we were to keep on going and price breaks out of this, you can take this once price breaks past this line that is showing us a trend. That's why it's a trend line. It's moving up, and it's moving up in a very consistent manner, but eventually price either has to break out to the downside or it has to break out to the upside. It so happened that price broke out of this area in trend. You know it is a trend line when you're able to draw a line like this and touch the top of more than 3 or more candles. When price breaks out of that, that is giving you an indicator that you're able to either get in a call or a put, depending on the direction of the trend breaking. So I'd even call, let me see, we may have a trend line that's getting ready to be broken even here. With this W. So price looks like it's coming down. This is what it looks like when price is breaking the trend line to the downside. 1, 2, 3, price breaks this. If price continues down and this trend line is broken, that price has been moving in this trend upwards and is broken, this is a good space or area for you to get into a trade. Okay. Hopefully these things make sense. Do you guys have any questions? I done marked up the chart. Any questions? Okay, if we don't have any questions for the night, I'm going to stop recording. Thank you guys for coming to beginners class, and I will continue to take maybe 1 or 2 questions after the recording.